Are your bookcases looking a bit blah? Stay tuned. Welcome to Decorating Tips and Tricks. I'm Anita Joyce with Kelly Wilkness, and this is episode 311, the best method for decorating a bookcase. And the show notes for today's episode can be found at decoratingtipsandtricks.com/311. I do love this. Isn't this fun? Don't you love doing bookcases, Kelly?
I do. I actually have a lot of blog posts on bookcases, but the funny thing is I don't have a bookcase in this current house.
Oh, stop it.
I don't. I want one. I was going to put one in the living room, but then I went for that chaise lounge that I was talking about. But I am going to have a bookcase someplace. And when I do, I will use our own great tips for when I decorate it. But I have had plenty of bookcases in the past, so fear not.
So we need
I've
not
got
worry.
A lot of ideas.
You have experience with this, is what you're trying to say.
Yes, I have. I do. Yes, I know. It's more than just books. And unless you're a librarian or you have a room in your house that is an actual library, then you probably want to be jazzing up your bookcase with items other than books. And so we're going to tell you how to do that today in the best possible method.
Mm-hmm. Are we ready to get started?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's interesting. I thought we might be fun to start with the controversial method that some people use. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I didn't know there was a controversy.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, this caused a major flap on the internet when bloggers started doing that. And what I'm talking about is turning your books backwards.
Oh. Okay. I love you, but that's not where I would start with this. But okay.
No, I'm bringing it up because
it was
such out of the way? Controversy. Yeah, just get it out of the way.
I'm sorry. It's dumb. I'm sorry. It's just, you want my opinion. I am a nice person, but when it's, the part about being a nice person too is you'll tell your friend when something is dumb. I don't think you do this, but I kind of think that is dumb. If somebody wants to do it in their house for a certain look, but come on, it's books. You should be enjoying the books. I get selecting some books because you like the color of their spine, particularly if they're vintage books and you're not going to be actually reading them. But just the whole idea of turning your books backwards so you can't see what they are is just silly to me. I understand that. I think the reason people do it is because they like to have that neutral texture, which is, some books.
I think that is why people do it. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
But unless you're the stylist of Restoration Hardware and you've got these made to look old books that they have had made for them that kind of have the vintage book edging and pages. Books backwards just don't look that great. Regular books.
Right. Okay.
Are we done with this now? Or do we have to keep talking about it?
No, I'm just going to say I have used them on occasion when I'm using the books as risers and they're not books that I'm going to be reading, but mostly I don't do it.
Yeah.
But I have done it in small doses. But yes, that's something that can be done. But if you are reading the books, you can't find them. And in general, I don't really think it's something you want to do in mass because then it looks like you don't even read your books. So.
Yeah. It's almost like one of those things. It does look pretty, in the right setting. And as I said, with the right type of books that have the right type of paper pages and all of that. But it's almost like equivalent of a fashion runway thing. Like you're not going to, you shouldn't be doing that at home. You shouldn't have, pink eyeshadow and, a big giant hat with feathers coming out of it. Even though that looks really cool on the runway, you probably wouldn't go to pick up your kids wearing that. So it's kind of like, I think one of those things where it looks good when it's styled. If it's in a magazine, you can appreciate it for, the beauty of the layout of the bookshelf or whatnot. But it's really not something you should try at home.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think we can check that off the list now.
I have very few strong opinions.
Yeah, wow. I had no idea that this was such a strong one.
I didn't know you were going to open up with that. I'm like, exhausted
why not
now.
just piss people off right from the beginning?
Right away. Started right off.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure everyone agrees with me. Whatever. If you don't, that's okay. It's what makes the world go round. You let me know if you're using your books backwards. Now, here we can segue into getting down to actually decorating the bookshelf with books. the thing about the books and the spines is that, and why some people might want to swap them around so you're just seeing the neutral pages, is because books on a shelf can look messy. It's a lot of visual noise. If you have a lot of different spines and a lot of different sizes, and if you're mixing in paperbacks and hardcovers and stuff like that. So, we're really talking today about a decorative bookcase.
Yes.
As I said, not if you're, a librarian or you're a researcher and this is your office bookcase where, you're going to have your books that you need to use for work or things like that. Or if you really do have a library room where, like Belle's room in, Beauty and the Beast, where it's just all books, and that's fine. And then that's what it should look like. But we're talking about incorporating books that you enjoy. And it could be coffee table books and decorating books and books and novels and things that you read, but incorporating them in a bookcase that is also something that is a decorative part of your home.
That's right. Because if you're going to be reading the books a lot, it's nice to organize them by topic or by title. But from a visual standpoint, a lot of times it looks better organizing them by color. But if you have the spine facing out, you can see at least where your book is, and hopefully you'll kind of remember where it is. That is something to kind of think about, is the color. If this is all for styling and not as, like you say, a working library, then you're going to have fewer books and you're going to choose books where the color and the look of the books is kind of going with your bookcase. And one of my favorite tips, I think it works very well with the bookcase, is to start with your photo of your bookcase. Go ahead and take a picture of it right now before you do anything. And there's a couple of different approaches. One is you can take everything out, or you can just move things around. But one thing that's fun to do is, as you're trying different things, try arranging it several different ways and take a picture each time. And that way you'll remember where the things were. And then as you play around, you can go back and look at the pictures and say, well, I really like this one best. And that'll help you remember where the things were in the bookcase.
Excellent. That is a really good tip. What I like to do is, if I'm going to decorate a bookcase, and as we're saying, like it is decorating a bookcase. So the books are essential. But so are the other items that we're going to talk about today. So, it's about styling it and also enjoying it. And I think also having books in your home, it's personalizes your home too. I mean, hopefully you're not just going and buying books because all the spines match, although that's kind of nice if you do happen to like books and the spines go together. That's a bonus. But if someone comes into your home and they're looking at the books that you enjoy, whether it's a classics or if you're into a particular topic like gardening or bird watching or whatever your jam is, then they can learn a little bit about you, and you can incorporate those items with other pretty things in a really pleasing way. So that's what the goal is here. What I like to do if I'm going to do a bookcase is, if it's already decorated, I would probably take everything out and start fresh. And what I also like to do is think about the things that I might have in other places in my house or in my cabinets that might work in the bookcase. And so I put everything out on the dining room table or any big flat surface that you might have. And so you can see it all. So as you're working with it and playing around with the different sizes and shapes and textures, you can see what all your choices are right before your eyes.
Right. And as you're putting things back in, I think you're going to want fewer things in the bookcase than you started out with. I know when I've had photographers come some magazine photographers just shoot your house the way it is and just add some flowers. And then there are other magazines that come in and say, okay, everything in here is going out and we want you to add this stuff in this room. So it really kind of depends on the magazine. But I'll tell you one thing that the camera seems to like and the magazines really prefer is for less in the bookcases. I'm always surprised at how little they want in there for the photos. It's really interesting. And so go look at a magazine and see the bookcases and you'll see what I'm talking about. So you probably do not need as much in your bookcase as you think you do. So as you're putting things back in, don't feel like every little space has to be covered. And while we're talking about taking everything out, One thing to think about is, do you want to put wallpaper in the back or paint the back of your bookcase a different color? Because that is just a beautiful technique that you can use to really highlight the things in your bookcase. And so that's a really nice thing that you can do. And this is the time to do it if you're taking everything out anyway.
Yeah, that could really change, a lot of your room if you do that as well. Yes, let it breathe, not too crowded. You're going to have space in between either the stacks of books or the items, and you're not going to put, too many items on one shelf. So it's just much nicer. It's much pleasing on the eye to see it that way. If it's too cluttered, even if it's all the same color spines, it's still going to look too cluttered. So definitely leave some space. And I think Anita's tip is right now. And like, what did Coco Chanel always say? Always before you leave, take something off. So take something off the shelf, maybe after you've put everything up there. I would like to think about a certain theme too. I mean, not like, oh, a St. Patrick's Day bookcase. I'm not talking about like that hardcore of a theme, but just something in general that I'm going to be going for. It may even just be sort of a color mood, or it might be something like loosely associated with the seasons. So I like to have sort of somewhat of a very loose theme in mind when I'm approaching the bookcase. That also helps me curate the items that I'm going to put in it.
Oh, I love that idea. And that goes with our thought of the limited color palette or kind of a particular direction that you're going. You don't want to put everything under the sun in your bookcase. You want the things that are in your bookcase to kind of make sense and to feel cohesive, because it's all kind of one big grouping. So you don't want it to look too disparate or too kind of, when you look at it, you go, what? Why is that and that on there? So it really does, you do want it to make sense. And as you're placing the books back in, try to alternate your books so that some are stacked horizontally and some are stacked vertically, and kind of make that a random pattern throughout your bookcase. So it doesn't look like one side is horizontal and the other side is vertical. You want it to, kind of have and not a pattern, but just kind of a back and forth around the bookcase.
Yeah, I so agree. Yeah, you kind of want, if you were making a motion with your hand, you kind of have like, it's like swirling down a little bit in a loose way, but you absolutely don't make it, on the right side, there's $4. And then on the next shelf on the left side, there's $4. You really don't want it like that. It's kind of a looser feel. And
you want it to look random. Yeah.
Right. And maybe one shelf, you don't have any books. That's okay too. Or sometimes I've done it where if I have a series, I have these vintage Jane Austen books, and I have a lot of them that I bought in estate sales. And sometimes you just need a shelf just to be a resting spot. And so sometimes when I've created bookcases in the past, I've actually used that whole set just across one shelf. And it just kind of like, it takes a little breather. It's books, bing, bing, bing. That's good. But it's not giving your eyes, any more action really. It gives it a little resting spot before it moves on to the next shelf.
Yeah. And another thing to think about when you're putting things in your bookcase is you want everything to scale. You want things scaled properly. So if your shelf height is 18 inches, you don't want to put a lot of 5-inch things there. You want to fill up the space as much as you can. And I mean, you can have, you don't want everything exactly the same size, but just kind of make sure you have several things that do pretty much fill up that space, or at least look like they belong there, that, are large enough that it looks like it works. So just kind of, and I think sometimes people say, oh, that's too small, so I'm going to add 5 other things there. Then they end up with a cluster of 5 things that are 5 inches tall, and it still doesn't fill up the space. So think, big things for the space.
You may not think about tall things or wide things when you're thinking about a bookcase because, you're dealing with shelves and there's not a whole lot of real estate on shelves, but you really should be thinking about tall accent pieces or something that is a little more bulbous on the bottom, something that will fill up some of the space. What I've done in the past too, this particular bookcase I did in my last house, I loved it. I had a really pretty botanical book, a vintage book, and the pages were just so lovely, and it kind of went with the seasons as far as the different flowers. And I would open it up. I mean, sometimes I would forget, and I'd have a March flower and it would be, May or something, but I stood the book up and opened in the, sort of in the corner of the bookshelf in a sense. And then I put something in front of it. I think it was something silver with like a boxwood ball in it or something. So it's not like you could read the page, but you could clearly see the botanical print that was there.
Oh, and I love that idea.
It was really interesting. It was a great way to add height without having to buy something else because it was a book that I had. And even just the idea of the pages sort of going back to the covers, it just added a lot of texture and interest to that shelf.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I have an affinity for beautiful oil paintings, and I ended up somehow with a bunch of little ones. And you know how we feel about small things on the wall. Mm-hmm. I like something big that really, makes a presence on the wall. So I ended up with a lot of little oil paintings that are just so pretty. And I was thinking, where am I going to put these? And I was just looking in my office. I thought, well, I really need to look and see, what do I have on my bookcase here? I have a lot of those. I didn't realize how many I had there, but that's a great place to display little paintings or little pieces of artwork that you have that don't really work anywhere else. You can get a lot of little, beautiful little brass easels that are so pretty to use. Sometimes you can just kind of, lean them against the back of the bookcase and then put something in front of them so that they're not falling. Mm-hmm. So you don't even necessarily have to use an easel for all of them, but that's a great way to display them. And when I had a space in my bookcase that I thought looked a little bare, I even hung a painting on the front of the bookcase, which is something that I've seen done in a lot of these European homes. It's really beautiful.
I love that look. I have been trying to make that happen for a couple of years. I mean, it has to really work as far as proportions and how accessible you need the bookcase to be. But I think that is such a great look.
Mm-hmm. I love the look too.
And, I guess I've had situations where I've had a single standing bookcase. And so that kind of looks odd. I think you would need to do it where the bookcases are meeting. So maybe you have
or a built-in. Right.
Yeah. Right. So
I have a wall that's a whole bookcase. So, yeah.
Right. And I think it's really nice to add some picture frames and some family photos, but I would be very judicious in how many I put. And I would probably make sure that they were really the best of the best, not sort of the back of anyone's head or, from too far away. Maybe you've got some really great photos. Perhaps you have them in black and white, or maybe you transform them into black and white, which is so easy to do. And maybe you have 2 or 3 scattered throughout the bookcase, or you have one shelf has 3 in different sizes or something like that. That can really be a wonderful way to personalize it, in addition to the, showing off the books that you enjoy.
Oh, yes. And if you need to store magazines here, it's really hard to get them to look good because they are floppy and have the skinny little spines. So I really recommend using those magazine holders if you need to put them in this bookcase. And you can buy several that all match. And then that really looks nice in your bookcase if you have several that are, exactly the same color and the same design. That's really can be very beautiful in your bookcase.
Yeah, and I think a bit of green. So if you can get away with a real plant, go for it. Even a small faux in a bookcase situation, or a faux boxwood ball or a moss ball or something like that. A little touch of organic is in the form of a plant is really great. Another way to bring in some organic elements is geodes have been so popular of late. Those are really pretty. They add a lot of texture and most of the time some shimmer, which can be really cool. Even large shells. I wouldn't, as Anita's saying, I wouldn't put 4 little shells that you collected on the beach. Maybe you save those up and put them in a jar or something. But if you've got a big shell and if you're doing sort of a coastal thing, or that's just a super nice memory, then or maybe you have a stack of books, beach houses or, houses of the Hamptons or something like that. That would be really appropriate to have a pretty shell on top of that on your shelf, which is hard to say.
I know. I think that's a great idea. And, or a terrarium. A beautiful terrarium. I've seen a lot of terrariums that are shaped like greenhouses.
Oh, yeah. Those are pretty.
Yeah. And you can put a plant in that. You can use it empty. You can put cloches there, and the cloche doesn't even have to have something in it. You can have it empty or you can have something in it, but that's a nice face filler. What is today? What is it with today?
Yeah.
They're nice space fillers.
There you go. Don't you just love a great recommendation from a friend? Well, we're delighted to be recommending these companies and their wonderful products to you today. And let them know your friends at DTT sent you. Pesto pork chops over Parmesan polenta. Not that easy to say, but oh so easy to make with Green Chef. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit company for eating well, and we have such a great deal for you. You're going to save $250. Listen on for the details on that. Green Chef makes eating well easy for any lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat more balanced meals. We're getting into the busy holiday season, so it's a perfect time to have Green Chef help you out. Let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season with their chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes featuring fresh ingredients and nothing artificial. And you know what? You don't have to lose track of your healthy eating habits during the holidays. Every Green Chef customer gets a free session with their registered dietitians who will walk you through how to make clean eating work for you. So sign up for your free session and start on the road towards better health today. And that deal I want to tell you about, visit greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. So that's greenchef.com/DTT250 and use the code DTT250 for $250 off your order. Green Chef is a delicious delight any time of year, but especially during the holidays. What a wonderful vision to behold as the Green Chef boxes on your doorstep. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And it makes eating well so easy with plans to fit every lifestyle, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, or just looking to eat a more balanced diet. So let Green Chef take the work out of eating clean this holiday season. And if you've got guests coming, shop Green Bundles. They're now available at the Green Market. It's your one-stop shop for nutritious grab-and-go breakfasts, including vegan options, brunch kits, wholesome lunches, ready-to-eat snacks, veggie sides, and more. You can feel your best this December and do your best with Green Chef because they offset 100% of the delivery emissions as well as 100% of the plastic in every box. Go to greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT and get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. greenchef.com/60DTT and use the code 60DTT to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. I think this is a nice place, too, to add some of these just sort of objects of interest, some salvage pieces or something like that, because it doesn't have to necessarily stand up even, and it doesn't have to be big enough to stand on its own. It can be just an interesting piece that you now stack 3 or 4 books of varying sizes on the horizontal, and then you put this quote unquote object of interest on top of it. Mm-hmm. That can be absolutely beautiful. And then it's a way to enjoy something that if left to its own devices, you would kind of get lost somewhere in another area of your house. But if it's perched on top of these books, it sort of has a little pedestal of its own, and it can really add to the whole look of the bookcase.
Yeah, let's talk about some risers that you can use. Obviously, the books are the easiest thing to use in a bookcase because you already have books in there. But this is something that's great to use if you have something you want to display. It's that thing I was talking about. It's maybe 6 inches tall, but you really need something 12 inches tall. Then you can put 6 inches of books underneath that thing to build it up. Another thing that you can do is add a beautiful pedestal, a little column, or beautiful boxes like tortoiseshell boxes. There's so many beautiful antique wood boxes, so many beautiful boxes that you can use, or just kind of be creative and look around your house and see what you could use to set something on top of.
Yeah, that's a really pretty way to do it. I think there's so many pretty boxes, and lots of times you can get them in threes, so they actually will stack on top of themselves nicely. But then you could also separate them, and then you've got this continuity of color or texture, of streaming its way down your bookcase if you're able to get a set of these sorts of boxes. And it's great for little storage. Maybe you have. Maybe there's that little collection of shells you don't know what to do with and you slip them in there. Or maybe, you keep, matches from special occasions or something like that. Or just, extra keys. It's a great place to store things that people might not know that they're in there. So you could put all your crown jewels in there or something as well.
Or trophies. And I don't mean trophies that you've earned. I mean, if you have real trophies, then good on you, but mine are fake ones. I mean, I shouldn't say fake ones. Somebody earned them, not me, but I just bought them. But anyway, I think those look great in a bookcase. They look like there's some history there. Maybe it's something that was passed down to you. So that's certainly something I love to see in a bookcase, or some trophies or some old figurines, maybe a bust of somebody, or just some other figurine of a person. I think that's always fun to see something. I mean, this is the fun thing to do, is to go out to an antique store or a store that has vintage things and look for things that are about the size you're looking for your bookcase, and just find some things that speak to you. This is such a great place to put all of those fun things.
It is so much fun to do a bookcase. That's why I've been totally jonesing to get one here. And maybe I'll put one up here in the podcast studio and I can play around with it and just take pictures
I think
of it.
So. It'll be like a place where you can, come up with ideas.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like playing dollhouse. You're moving this stuff around and it's really fun. And I find it super relaxing. Like when we started out the episode and I was saying, take all your things out and put them out on your dining room table, like that gets me all excited.
Oh,
the idea of doing that. And like you're seeing all the possibilities there.
Some people just got seriously stressed when you said that because it sounds messy.
Oh no, because you're playing. It's like
I know you are,
end,
but it's a mess
while you're away.
While you're doing it. It's messy. So here's some other things that you can put in your bookcase. Are large bottles. They can be new ones. They can be antiques. They can be colored. They can be clear. Bottles are beautiful, some interesting vases. And, sometimes if you're going for a particular look, like, you want to go with interesting vases. But another thing to do is if you went with a monochromatic, one thing I've seen done beautifully is where the background of the bookcase is perhaps a blue and then everything in the bookcase is white. I mean, that's a very specific look. It's beautiful, but, that's just one way to go. So if you're not going with the monochromatic look where everything's white, then you want to find, so all these things you want to find, try to find something that's a little more interesting, not so, that's just got some character to it. So that as you're looking through them, you're not kind of going, your eye is resting on each item and enjoying it rather than quickly skipping from one thing to the next.
Right. So each item that you choose to go in the bookcase should really be something that could stand on its own too.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say.
And it's made better by the other things that are around it. It may be too small to stand alone someplace else, but then, it has interest in the texture or the color or just, that it's a vintage piece or something like that. But then next to these other things, and that really shines. And speaking of shine, I think it's really great to have something. It doesn't have to be mirrored. I'm not saying like put a disco ball on a pedestal in your bookcase, although, in a certain room that could be pretty fab. But something shiny is always nice, even if it's just the silver or the gold of a picture frame, but something that has some shimmer to it or some shine to it. It's really nice.
You mean like a silver pitcher?
Yeah, it could be a silver pitcher, or it could be just an orb. I have these couple of orbs that are so cool. I had them mixed in with a lot of balls of twine and things like that in this French basket, and they looked great. but they kind of got lost because I kept adding twine. So I just pulled them out. Actually, I think it was just last night. And I was playing around with these 2 items in my living room. And wow, what a difference that made just on a side table. And it would be great. Something like that, a round orb, like, maybe 6 to 8 inches. And mine is just silver. I think I got them on the clearance aisle somewhere in like Home Goods or something. Just imagine that, like sitting on a stack of design books, or that would be so pretty.
Oh, you're right. And if you have to use the bookcase to store some unattractive things, it can be done. It's easily done. Simply grab some baskets that you really like, some rectangular baskets, and put those things in the baskets. And then you can put those on, perhaps the bottom shelf in there. And, I think the trick there is to get several baskets that match, that are exactly the same. And then when you put them there, it has a very calming look, because they all go together. So that's what I would suggest, rather than using 4 or 5 different types of baskets. I would make sure those are all the same.
Yeah, I'm totally down with that idea. And if you have to have a bigger basket, and say you have somebody who's got Polly Pockets in your house, or somebody who has Legos or Hot Wheels or stuff like that, get a lidded basket. Yes. What's a good place for those? Cost Plus, World Market. Mm-hmm. I always think that. Can I just say something about that? Why would they call their store Cost Plus? Like, does that not sound to you like you're paying more?
They're downplaying that part now. Now it's just World Market.
Okay, so I'm not the only one. I always thought that is just such a dumb name.
Well, in the olden days, Cost Plus meant we're just giving it to you at cost plus some small little fees.
Okay, see? I never got that. I was like, well, that's just such a silly name. But anyway, they do have great items that are not very costly. Right. And they always have nice baskets. And oftentimes, again, like the boxes we're talking about, these baskets you might be able to get in sets of 3. And that, as Anita's saying, that's a nice way to use them. So say you had to store some things just for practicality on your bookshelf because you needed, and it's always good to have additional storage. Get the sets. Or if you don't have sets, or you find yourself, gosh, I have all these baskets, and you know what I'm going to say? Spray paint them all the same color. So you will unify them.
You have not talked about spray paint in weeks.
I've really been trying to control myself. I'm spray painting a piece of furniture right now. Sort of in between as we speak. Before we started, I was give him a little spritz, and now I'm going to do another coat when we're done. But anyway, yeah. So you can take these disparate baskets that are different colors and shapes and sizes and spray paint them all one color, and therefore unify them. And then one goes on the second shelf, one goes on the fourth shelf, and one goes on the bottom shelf. Bam.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a craft room, you could even have quite a few boxes there and store a bunch of things out in the open. And it looks great because it's in these boxes with the lids on them.
Yeah. No, it can really look great. I have to say, I think I want to share this post of mine that I did. It was a while ago, like several years ago, not too long after I started blogging. But anyway, I'm going to link it in the show notes. And I think you guys might think it's fun. I thought it was fun. I had fun writing it. I have a post about decorating a bookshelf, but I likened building a bookcase. Well, not building the bookcase, but decorating the bookcase as I would have done a legal case. So
we can all relate to that.
Yeah, and I sort of
all of us non-lawyers
analogize it throughout. Like, how do you start with a solid foundation? Then you build the case methodically around your theme, and then you make sure there's a theme that's threaded throughout the entire case. And then you represent it with color and texture, which is like the witnesses and the evidence. And I go on and on and on. So I think it's kind of fun. So I'm going to add it to the show notes. You guys can read it if you feel like it. But it echoes almost everything that we're saying today as to how to have a method to putting together a bookcase. And, it is a little bit of when it's right, you'll know it.
Yeah.
And that's where the fun comes in. Don't expect to have everything out on your dining room table and in 15 minutes have a bookcase that you're absolutely in love with. That's probably not going to happen. Or even if you're a person who's just going to be switching things around a little bit or taking things away.
Do you remember when we were working on some bookcases at the Texas Flip and Move house, and you would put something on the bookcase, and I would walk by and move it, and then you would walk by and move it?
Yes, I
It was
do.
like, yeah, it was
I was
musical
like,
chairs.
who's going to have the last move?
And then it turned out it wasn't either one of us.
Right. So yeah, that was so funny because at one point, I mean, I have to say, quite honestly, because I can tell you this, we can be so honest with each other, and I tell everyone, I was like getting a little angry. I was like,
but not at me.
No,
were you getting mad at me?
At you.
You were getting mad at me?
Not angry, but I was like, huh, she moved that cutting board again. I kept trying to in the kitchen, I think it was, because I kept trying to hide the outlet. You know how I hate those outlets.
Yeah, well, I do too. Are you sure that was me?
I'd be like, maybe it wasn't you. And I was like, it got moved again. And then at one point, like, you know, like we were so deep into that day and it was like, we were so tired. I was like, this is really funny. And it was kind of like, I'll move it and see if she moves it back. No, we had so much fun. We were very much on track with that together. I thought that
I mean, we joke really about it, but I really didn't. I tried not to move it if I knew you had put it there, but sometimes you're just throwing stuff and we had to get it done really fast. So,
yeah. No, but it was funny because I did. And who knows?
No, it was funny because you're like, it got moved.
Then you started. I put that pillow over there.
What happened now?
She switched the pillow on me.
No, it was like I didn't touch it.
But it was everything was better because we were both had hands in it. I think it is better.
It was fun.
You're bouncing it off each other. But anyway,
right. But
your
back
bookcases are going to be gorgeous, everybody. And if you do redo a bookcase, or if you've already done a bookcase and you'd like to share it with us, please do. We haven't seen any bookcases in a while, but we've been getting some vignette photos and we've been getting a lot of look what I did to my backsplash photos, which are completely continuing to blow us away.
Yes. So, all the photos do. It amazes me at all the talent out there. So thank you so much for sending in all of these photos.
Yes. And they're just literally and figuratively stepping back to the bookcase for a moment. That's what you're going to want to do. When you've got it and you think it's the way you want it, then you're going to step back, keep going back, several feet and really take a look at it and see how your eye moves around it and just see if it feels good, because your eye's going to tell you if something's off. It's too weighted on this side, or it's bottom heavy, or I need something taller up here. So just keeping in mind the thoughts that we gave you today, the suggestions on what to use and the suggestions of how to approach the whole thing, I think you're going to just, you're going to blow us away with your bookcases.
Right. Sure. And Kelly, I want to bring one thing up. You kind of touched on it, but I want to call it out very specifically. And that is, this is not something that you put everything up and as it touches your hand, you won't have to move it around again. This is something that's probably going to take you some time. You're going to end up moving several things around to different places. Don't be discouraged if when you first put everything you don't like it. Just keep moving things around. Take some pictures, like I was saying, at different ways, and you'll get something. I think you'll be very happy with the end product. And here's another idea. Call a friend. Get a friend to come over who likes decorating to kind of help you. And if you want our opinion, send us a picture and we'll weigh in on what we think on it too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, I have in my notes, step back, shift, adjust. I mean,
good.
That's how we do it, right?
Yes.
Or, sometimes everything, you put it on there and your inclination is to make everything like a soldier, like everything's looking out and could salute you. Well, maybe it's just the idea of tilting to the side a little bit.
The old
or
tilt.
fanning.
Or leaning.
Yeah. Or you have like 3 books and maybe they're all the same size. Well, that can look nice stacked, but what if you fan them a little bit?
Oh, you are going off-road.
Road. Like this is advanced.
You are road today.
Decor. But yeah. Well, hey, speaking of what you just said, I'm going to mention this. I hope it's okay. Our listener and our longtime customer, I think since the day our store was in business in May, Lisa has been with us. And she did Lisa did a consult with us too, pretty early on. And we gave her a lot of suggestions, which she's implemented, and she shared photos along the way. And she was buying another one of the animal print pillows the other day. So we were emailing back and forth on it. And she said, I do want to tell you that she had a group of women come over for some meeting, and they were like, "Who's your decorator?" And one of them wants her to go to their house to help her with
I love it.
And so she was like, "Thanks so much for all the tips." Because her house looks phenomenal.
It does, yes.
And, and she was just saying also how, because she went with the limited color palette, how she's really enjoying the fact that she does get to move stuff around all over her house when she gets a little tired of this chair here and she moves it someplace else. So she's not only a listener, a customer, like all of you, she's definitely turned into a friend, and I love getting her emails. So that was just a really nice one to receive. But yeah, if you're getting a lot of tips and your house is looking fantastic, yeah, you're probably going to get gigs as decorators too, all of you.
Oh, well, I love the affirmation she got from her friends that they really noticed what she did with her house. And they loved it. And they probably loved being in her house. It sounds like they had a really good time.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry we missed it, but we weren't invited.
I know. We're not in that group.
Next time, Lisa.
It was a meeting for something at, school or what have you.
So okay.
I'm sure if it was just random people, friends,
sure
we would have gotten the invitation.
We love you, Lisa. Thank you.
Another listener, Susan B. Susan loves creating, as she calls, vinnies, little vignettes all over her house.
I love it.
And I have never really seen someone take a vignette to this extent in that she's put so much of her heart and soul into it. Susan, she names them. Some of them represent people. Like there's one beautiful one that represents her mother. And she took these photos of them, and she shared the photos that each one is unique and beautiful and well thought out. And because it's representative of a person or something special in her life, just, so meaningful to her. But one in particular that I wanted to share that everybody could try. And Susan said, she thinks she might be the first person to try this. And I have not seen it before either. I think it's a great idea. For spring, she has a French wire basket. It could be whatever, a non-French wire, an American wire basket, but a wire basket so you can see through it. And she layered. So she layered moss. She had green moss. Then she had the Spanish moss. Then she had a layer of, I believe, blue eggs. And then she had a layer of flowers, but not, the flowers were not laying, the flowers were on the vertical, but the other things on the horizontal. So almost like putting together a trifle, she layered all these elements and you could see through the wire basket.
Oh,
phenomenal.
Great idea.
Isn't
so
that
creative.
A great idea?
Yes.
So creative. And I have to say, the creative thought aside, which probably took some time to come up with it, but the doing of it would not take very long.
Yeah, that's right.
You're just putting this stuff in there. So anyway, I think people should try that. I'm going to try that at around Easter time. I think it's such a great idea.
Or you could even use a trifle bowl if you have one. What a great idea.
Yeah,
I love the wire basket idea.
Right.
That
or
sounds fantastic.
A cylinder. But the wire basket was so pretty because you could really sense the textures of the mosses and things like that. So really pretty. Susan, thank you so much for sharing those photos. Everybody, it takes time to take the photo and write the email and attach the photo and all of that. And, we know that because we do all that sort of thing every day for various parts of our businesses and lives, and the two of us sharing stuff back and forth. So we know, it really takes a bit of your day to do this. And the fact that so many people have taken the time to share with us really, really touches our hearts. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah. And we heard from Wanda on Instagram, who said she loves the podcast and she's learned so much and enjoys the ease that we share our knowledge. And she says that we are such fun. So thank you, Wanda, for that.
Yeah. If you guys are listening but not following us on Instagram, we are having a ball over on Instagram with so many of you.
Oh, yes.
So follow us on Instagram and, we'll check your photos out and get to know you a little more. It's so nice to put a face with a name. So, I'm My Soulful Home on Instagram, and Anita is Cedar Hill Farmhouse on Instagram. So if that's a place where you like to hang out sometimes, definitely follow us over there.
Go ahead, clean out your closet, then head straight to Quinn's.
I love every item Quince offers, from wardrobe to decor. And I can really recommend their Ultra Stretch Super Wide Leg Pant at $49.90. The price is unbeatable, and the look is so flattering. It keeps you in on top and flares out of the bottom. Everything feels right with Quince. The price, the quality, and the sustainability. Quince offers a range of luxury wardrobe and home goods at prices within reach. And like Quince's clothing, their home goods are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices, along with premium fabrics and finishes. Once you've cleaned out your closet and refreshed with Quince, you can also add something to your home decor. So give your wardrobe and your home the refresh it needs with Quince. Go to quince.com/DTT to get free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/DTT for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/DTT. And let me know how you love those pants. Inevitably, with the new year come wellness goals. One very effective and easy to reach goal is to add Dose to your wellness regime. Dose is expertly formulated organic wellness shots that support your liver in one delicious drink. Formulated with ingredients clinically shown to support liver health: potent turmeric, milk thistle, and ginger. There's 0 sugar and 0 calories. Did you know that your liver performs over 500 special functions? Since I learned all that my liver is doing, I started with Dose to support all those vital functions. I take a shot of refreshing Dose 2 times per week to combat everyday toxins from food, meds, alcohol, and unhealthy air. Since starting with Dose about a month ago, I am definitely feeling an overall improvement in my health. So if you want to give Dose a shot and invest in your health like I have, Dose is offering DTT listeners 15% off your first order, plus an additional 15% off if you subscribe for a monthly delivery. That's 30% off your first order. So go to dosedaily.co/DTT and use the code DTT. That's dosedaily.co.co/DTT and use the code DTT. I have a crush today.
Oh, yes.
But before we get to our crushes, and all this, we're loving you guys so much. We wanted just to give a little midwinter sale boost, if you will, from Bespoke Decor. So if you use the code LISTENERLOVE, you will receive 15% off your order. Okay, and we will put that in the show notes. So that's to our shop, Bespoke Decor, and where we have a lot of new things for spring and some old favorites that are on there. So head over and use the code LISTENERLOVE for 15% off your order.
All right. Well, that's a wonderful deal. And let's talk about our favorite finds today.
Okay, so my crush is, it's a decor item. It's very practical. And it's from IKEA, and it's the Glad Dome tray. But it's not just a tray. It's a very nice little metal table with a removable tray. And it comes in an array of colors: black, white, this kind of really interesting green, and a few other colors too. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to spray paint it. I'm going to make mine gold. I ordered it the other night. I tripped upon it. I don't know where. It's $20, you guys. $19.99 actually, I think. And probably you could pick it up at IKEA too, and maybe you don't even have to pay shipping. But it's 20 5/8 tall and 17 and a half.
Does it have a glass dome on it?
No, it's a tray. So picture.
But it's called a glass dome tray?
No, it's Swedish. It's Glad Dome. GLADOM. Tray, they name all their stuff with,
yes, I should have known.
The dots on the ellipses or whatever that's called on top of it. I mean, I never know if I'm saying anything right.
Okay.
The Schwen table or whatever,
Oh, I see it now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty. What color are you painting it, did you say?
I'm going to spray it gold.
Oh, well, that's really pretty. I like that. And the tray is removable?
The tray is removable. I mean,
I like that.
You could use it. And it has 123 5-star reviews. I mean, how could you really? It's metal. It's got a removable tray and it's $20. Like, I mean, could you say anything bad about this table? I don't know. I mean, they do say in the description, because I thought, oh my gosh, maybe I'll get a couple and I can use them outside. They don't nest, but they're so small, you could just kind of move them around. Yeah. I thought, well, maybe I'll get them for the patio, but they say don't use them outdoors. But here again, I'm thinking
probably
to myself,
rust. Yeah,
probably just the rust because it's metal. What's going to happen to it? So, if you don't mind either spraying it with some sort of rust-proof spray paint, or, if it gets a little rusty, then you give it a little and you're done. I think you could, I don't want to, go against IKEA, but I think you probably use it outside.
Yeah. Well, at the farm, some things have not fared well with the rain. Let's just put it that way.
Well, it's hard living out there in the farm. I think
it can be rough
it's
on
like
everything.
Really the great outdoors there.
Yes, exactly.
I like my patio in LA.
You probably don't get a lot of rain, so it probably works fine where you are.
Tons of rain so far this year. So much rain that, everybody's excited because we're going to have rain and water and all that good stuff for a long time. So we won't be in a drought this year, which is nice.
Oh, well, if rain excited me, I would be excited all the time here. So anyway,
I'm kind of at the end of my rain, though. I do love it. And I get all sort of, that Pacific Northwest feeling. And I'm drinking tea until, it's like coming out of my ears. But yeah, we've had so much of it. I'm kind of ready for it to be done.
Oh, okay. So my favorite thing I've been enjoying is the Amazon Prime version of Vanity Fair, which is based on William Thackeray's book, Vanity Fair.
Okay, did you hear my pen just click? I'm writing this down.
Yeah, and it's been done before. This is not the first adaptation of the book, but this one's kind of a fun, playful version. I don't remember the ending, but I'm pretty sure it's.
Don't give away the ending.
No. I'm not saying what it is, but I'm just saying it may be sad, but right now it's kind of fun and funny. This adaptation.
Okay,
of it.
is anybody cute in it?
Very playful. Is what?
Anybody cute in it?
Oh, is anyone cute in it? Yeah, there's some people that are kind of cute.
Okay.
But so far, this is what I'm trying to say. So far, it's kind of playful. It may, turn, but right now it's very fun and playful.
Yeah. And,
well,
it's a classic.
A lot of
if you haven't read it, or you haven't read it in a very long time, maybe you'll enjoy watching it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but since I don't remember what happens at the end, I'll be surprised. Oh,
see, there is a benefit to forgetting things.
Yes, I'm sure. Yes, exactly. I've been looking for this. Exactly. Yeah, because Kevin and I will watch movies on Netflix or something, and the discussion is always, "Have we seen this one
that's
before?"
So funny. That's funny.
Yeah. So that's because usually he says we've seen it, and I'll argue it for a while, and then I say, "Oh, yeah, I remember this now."
Yeah.
Or you have this feeling you know what the ending is.
Yeah,
then you're like, how do I know the ending?
Is this my life, or have I seen this before?
Yeah.
Can't really remember. It feels something familiar.
Yeah, I suspect I do not have ESP, so
that's so funny.
Well,
this was great, you guys. I am definitely going to get myself a bookcase someplace. I got to go to my Thrifty and see if they've got any there that I can paint. And maybe I'll put it up here. I think that's kind of a fun idea because I just don't have a spot in the house. And soon I will be sharing with you guys the what the chaise looks like, where the bookcase that I had in mind was going to go, but now I'm not doing that in there. So I will share that. But yeah, I hope you had fun today. We always enjoy hanging out with you, and definitely send us pictures. Keep us up to date what's going on at your homes. We'd love to hear, and we really love to see it. And remember, we're here to inspire you to create a beautiful home. Until next time. I want to remind you that we are available for design consults. We take on your design dilemmas, questions, renovations, any project you want to talk about, any room, any space. We are here for you. And we really do enjoy doing these. And I think we've helped people a lot. So if you want to sign up for a consult, head to the link in the show notes. It's decoratingtipsandtricks.com/consult. We hope to talk to you soon.